All right, we finally heard it. We finally got the update that we've been looking for. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are officially coming back to Brooklyn. The NBA has been in standstill since July when the news hit that Kevin Durant requested a trade. We got all kinds of scenarios. The Phoenix Suns are supposedly in the mix. The Miami Heat, even the Denver Nuggets and other teams were calling saying, what does the price tag look like for Kevin Durant? And so all the while, NBA teams are trying to gauge, do we have the pieces to put a trade package together that's worth the Brooklyn Nets time? And then on the other side of it, teams that were looking at the trade and looking at the West and the East, are we willing to let Kevin Durant come to our conference and us not put a trade package in place? Because we know if Kevin Durant ends up on the Phoenix Suns, it changes everything. If Kevin Durant ends up on the Miami Heat or the Toronto Raptors, it changes everything. If he ends up on the Philadelphia 76ers, it changes everything. So NBA teams were scrambling, trying to find out what are we going to do. But behold, Joe Tsai said that I am not trading Kevin Durant. Apparently, there has been a meeting with Joe Tsai, with Kevin Durant. They talked about Sean Marks. They talked about Steve Nash. They talked about the team that's been built around them. The 4 years, almost $200 million left on Kevin Durant's contract. And they said, you are here to stay. And Kevin Durant reportedly has agreed that he's going to stay in Brooklyn. Now, the interesting thing about all this is that I think one of the reasons this happened is multifaceted. Kevin Durant, I think, would have had more cachet within the organization had three things not happened. The first one, had he not been signed, and Joe Tsai said that even though you're injured with an Achilles injury, I'm still going to sign you because that's how much I believe in you. Joe Tsai invested in Kevin Durant early before he even had to. When Joe Tsai saw that Kevin Durant wanted to come and be a Brooklyn Net, he didn't ask any questions. He said, I'm willing to move heaven and earth in order to make it happen. And then on the other side of that, Kyrie Irving was also a part of this picture. Kevin Durant wanted to play with one of his best friends. So Joe Tsai said that I'm going to give you Kyrie Irving. We're going to give him an opportunity. Even though the run with the Celtics did not end well, I'm still going to give him Kyrie Irving because that's how much I believe in him. And then on top of that, DeAndre Jordan. They shipped out Karis LeVert. They shipped out Jared Allen. Jared Allen, who is now an all-star and one of the best big men in the NBA, shipped him out because they wanted to make room for DeAndre Jordan on a 4-year, $40 million deal that did not work out. Ended up being a terrible deal. Ended up losing substantially. But Joe Tsai said, I believe in Kevin Durant, so I'm going to do it. And then the second thing, they reshaped their entire roster because of him. So once again, get rid of Karis LeVert, get rid of Jared Allen, bring in Kyrie Irving. We're going to trade for James Harden. I'm going to do all of this because Kevin Durant is the priority. And I want to win a championship. And I believe that if I have Kevin Durant, I have Kyrie Irving, and I also now have James Harden, I have enough to get it done. James Harden comes averaging 25 and 12. And had he not gotten hurt versus the Milwaukee Bucks with the Brooklyn Nets, might have been a different story. You might be talking about Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden winning an NBA championship, but it didn't happen because of injuries and because of Giannis Antetokounmpo. So that's the second thing. The first is he believed in him because of the injuries and paid him his money, and then re-signed him to a 4-year, $200 million deal. And then after that, they reshaped the roster multiple times in order to satisfy Kevin Durant's needs. And then the third thing, the Rudy Gobert trade. I absolutely believe that had Rudy Gobert not been traded for 4 players, including the first-round pick, which is 5 players roughly in the first-round pick in this year's draft, and Cody Kessler. And then they also received 5 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert got one of the biggest hauls in NBA history from Tim Connolly and the Minnesota Timberwolves. And that very deal right there ruined the trade market for almost every other NBA team that even thought that they had an opportunity to acquire Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant then was stuck, and he was stuck because Joe Tsai said, I cannot in good conscience get rid of a clear superstar that we're going to talk about a little bit later. I can't get rid of a clear superstar and then on top of that, get an all-star level player back in the deal, like a Jaylen Brown, like a Pascal Siakam, and not enough first-round picks to satisfy our needs. And on top of that, they don't have control of their own picks for the foreseeable future because of the James Harden deal. So they didn't want to be bad and give their picks up to Houston. And then they also didn't want to be middling while also not having control of developing their future. So essentially, they were stuck. And they said that the deals that we're seeing, they're not worth it. It's quite that simple. So now we're here in a situation where we're looking at Kevin Durant and we're saying that you are going to have to get it done. But the good news for Kevin Durant is they have a roster, Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons. They're going to have Joe Harris, Seth Curry. They're going to have Nicholas Claxton. They're going to have TJ Warren. They're going to have Royce O'Neal. And they're going to have Patty Mills coming off of the bench with Blake Griffin as well. Now, is that the best roster in the East? I don't think so. I think they're going to be a contender, but I think there's 4 teams that are in that contender tier. I think that the Milwaukee Bucks, the Boston Celtics, the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Brooklyn Nets are going to be the 4 best teams in the East. And then also you have to include, out of respect, the Miami Heat. So that means there are going to be 5 teams that are ultimately going to be competing for a championship next year. But if the Brooklyn Nets can find a way to get Kevin Durant to 57-plus games, Kyrie Irving to 54-plus games, and then also get Ben Simmons to play 60 games, if he's fully healthy and he's ready to go, like his heart and his mind feels good, then I think that they can easily be a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. But like I said, those are the if games that you're playing with when it comes to the Brooklyn Nets. So we'll find out. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening with them. But Kevin Durant is back. Kevin Durant is coming back to Brooklyn. Back to Brooklyn. And this also means that there is a significant fallout around the NBA. Now, there's a sigh of relief. Now teams know he is not coming to the Western Conference as of right now, at the very least. He's not going back to the Warriors. He's not going to the Suns. So therefore, you can breathe a little easier. You don't have to worry about yet another superstar being in the Western Conference. Now, it seems like for the LA Lakers, they're completely out of the Kyrie Irving sweepstakes. It seems like the Lakers were content at some point to put both their 2027 and 2029 first-round picks in the deal for Kyrie Irving. But at that point in time, it looks like one of the sides, either the Lakers or the Nets, said that we're not going to do it. It could be the Nets that said we're not going to do it, running it back. We're going to keep Kevin Durant, so we're not trading Kyrie. And also, Kyrie's going to be motivated this year. The difference between him and the end of his tenure in Boston is that it was assumed that you weren't getting Kevin Durant without Kyrie, so they had to pay Kyrie. It was also assumed that Kyrie was going to get a deal, and Kyrie knew that he was going to get enough money and get enough years that he could be how he's been, meaning I could be comfortable within myself. Now Kyrie ain't got no more years left, and his reputation is so poor in the NBA that there is only one team that was seriously considering trading for him, and that was the LA Lakers, because they're desperate. Not even to be a contender, they're desperate to compete for the playoffs. So Kyrie Irving, in this point in time, is at the lowest place his reputation in the NBA has ever been. But he has an opportunity this year to put up an all-time season. I think he can have his 3rd best season he's had in his career this year. I think that with a healthy Ben Simmons, a healthy Kevin Durant, with the rest of that roster, I fully believe he can make some real headwaves to be an all-NBA caliber player again this year. And hopefully he does it. I want to see him healthy. I want to see the Brooklyn Nets playing. I want to see them making the best effort. I want to see every team in the East and in the West healthy. So that's where we are with that. But the LA Lakers are looking like they're out of luck out of the Kyrie Irving sweepstakes. Now, there's still the Buddy Hield and Miles Turner trade. There's still the potential Mike Conley trade. There's still some other opportunities out there for them to explore, but I'm not going to lie. Any of those moves, I cannot see making a significant move to being a contender or being beyond a 6 or 7 seed in the Western Conference this season. As I mentioned, the West is loaded. The West is healthy. You got the Golden State Warriors, NBA champions. You got the Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic with a fully healthy roster. You got the Los Angeles Clippers with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George back in a loaded roster. You got the Phoenix Suns still Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, and obviously the newly re-signed max player on a 4-year deal, DeAndre Ayton. And then you got the Memphis Grizzlies. And then you got the Dallas Mavericks. And then you have the New Orleans Pelicans with Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, Herb Jones, Giannis Valanciunas, and then you also have Zion Williamson. And then on top of that, the Blazers. The Blazers now have a pretty good team with Dame, Anthony Simons, Josh Hart, Jeremy Grant, Nurkic, and then on top of that, Gary Payton, Nasir Little. That's a good team. The LA Lakers. I don't know if you can say they have a better team than the Blazers. I don't know if you can outright say that they have a better team than even players with teams like the Pelicans. And again, I know that people don't want to hear it, but I'm not going to hold you. Even the Sacramento Kings are going to be a tough out next year with De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter, Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, Sabonis. So the Lakers are also going to be in a tough situation here. Now, again, I don't have sympathy for them per se. They asked for the Russell Westbrook trade to happen. They made it happen. They got rid of KCP and Kuzma and Caruso. Players, honestly, they could use in a great way right now to help anchor that defense that they have. But that's the situation that they're in. So here's where we are. The Brooklyn Nets, at least on paper, have a contending squad. The Brooklyn Nets, if they're healthy, if everybody agrees to play basketball, which in the NBA is an interesting conversation to have, if they're healthy, if they're locked in, if they're willing to play basketball, that team could put up something special in the Eastern Conference. I'm excited to see it. So that's part one. As you can see in the graphic, I also have included Damian Lillard and I've included Kyrie Irving. Swipa, what is that about? So recently, Taylor Rooks of Bleacher Report, who does an exceptional job in all of her interviews, she was interviewing Jayson Tatum. And in the conversation, they were having a conversation about NBA superstars. And Jayson Tatum was asked who you think superstars are. And then he turned that question on to Taylor Rooks and began going on a player-by-player basis who you think the NBA superstars are. Now, Taylor Rooks came out and said she thinks that there are only about 6 superstars in the NBA. And when Jayson Tatum asked her about Kyrie Irving, she said, Kyrie Irving is a superstar because he's won. He was then asked about Damian Lillard. Is Damian Lillard a superstar? And she responded that no, he has all of the things that you need to be a superstar, but he hasn't won anything. And my question to you, pray tell, is what exactly is an NBA superstar? Now, you remember, we had this conversation on this channel not too long ago. But if you ask me, is Kyrie Irving a superstar? I'm going to answer absolutely without a shadow of a doubt, he is not. Are you going to ask me, is Damian Lillard a superstar? 1,000% he's not, but he's more of a superstar than Kyrie Irving has ever been at any point in time in his career. If you asked me about Jayson Tatum and I was sitting right here in front of Jayson Tatum, is he an NBA superstar? No, you are not. Now, I'm going to share something with you. I want you to see this. These, for me, right now, are the players that I consider to be NBA superstars currently in the NBA. And I have a very limited list of players that I think actually fit the superstar tier. And so I want everybody to understand the context here as well. An NBA superstar for me is a player that is in their prime, a player that can be a number one player on a contending or championship team. They are a player that has won at least one MVP while in their primes as well. They're also a player that has won at least a finals MVP and at least has won an NBA championship. So here's the list. Number one option, so a player in their prime, number one option on a contending team or championship level team, has won an MVP, has won a finals MVP, or has won a championship. Now, you can have a mix of all of those, and there are select players that have done that, but you have to have at least those individual criteria met in order to be a superstar on my list. Now, this blew up on Twitter. This absolutely blew up on Twitter. Over 330,000 impressions. People were having conversations all across seemingly the world about what it means to be an NBA superstar. Now, here is my select list. I have LeBron James. He is the top of the top in NBA superstars for me. He is a legacy player, 4 MVPs, 4 finals MVPs, 4 championships, clearly the number one option on a contending team or on a championship level team he could still be right now. And on top of that, LeBron James is still in his prime. He averaged 38 and 6 last year. Shot over 60% from 2. You can't hide it. You cannot sleep on that man. LeBron is still in his prime. Next on that list, number 2. Again, just for understanding, this is not a player ranking. This is a Who do I think the superstars are? And I'm ranking them by their status as superstars. LeBron James is number 1. Steph Curry is number 2. 4 championships, 2 MVPs, 1 unanimous MVP, multiple first-team All-NBAs, the greatest three-point shooter, the greatest shooter of all time, 1 Finals MVP, still in his prime, 3rd in MVP voting in the 2020-2021 season. He is a superstar. Him and LeBron are the most famous players in the NBA in terms of the superstars who have accomplished the most. By the way, as I said, I have those 5 criteria. In their prime, number 1 option on contending or championship level team, 1 MVP, 1 Finals MVP, or championship. I have those as my 5 criteria. You did not hear me mention shoe sales, ticket sales, or jersey sales. I do not want to count off-court stuff in the superstar conversation. And the main reason is because Ja Morant, Zion Williamson, and Trae Young would all be bigger superstars than one of the players on this list, even a couple players on this list, because of the market, the social media followings that they have, and their play style. I am not including off-the-court stuff. That does not matter for me in determining what players that I would actually build a franchise around. Because these are the 6, and there are 2 more you can make additions to as well, but these are the 6. Next up on this list, 3rd on my superstar tier, is Kevin Durant. Say what you want. MVP in 2014, 2-time NBA Finals champion, 2 times Finals MVP, scoring champion multiple times, still in his prime. Now, people are down on him because of what happened with the Boston Celtics series, but he is absolutely still one of the 6 best superstars in the NBA, and that is easy to say. Kevin Durant is number 3 on the list. Number 4 on the list is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis is a 2-time MVP, a back-to-back MVP, one of the 15 people to ever win 2 or more MVPs, one of the 13 people to ever win back-to-back MVPs. He is a Defensive Player of the Year. He has won a Finals, and he is a Finals MVP. Giannis Antetokounmpo is a superstar. He's in his prime. He's 27. I would build a franchise around Giannis Antetokounmpo. Superstar number 4. Now, superstar number 5, some people have some feelings about this. Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard is a superstar. He's a 2 times Finals MVP. He is a multiple All-NBA level player. He is one of the best playoff performers in modern NBA history, bar none. Led the Toronto Raptors to a championship when he was rented. He was a rented player, Kawhi Leonard is a player you can build a franchise around. He has carried 2 franchises to a final. Now, again, no, he had Tim Duncan and Tony Parker and Manu and Dorsby. I know. So I know. But he won that Finals MVP fair and square. He was really good in that series. Kawhi Leonard is one of those players I would build around. He's 5 on my list, and the reason he's 5, he doesn't have a lot of accomplishments. He's been hurt. He's just coming off an ACL injury. And then on top of that, again, the Clippers series where he lost to the Nuggets. I mean, there's some things in there as well. Like there's reasons to have some criticism for Kawhi Leonard's game, but he is still a superstar. And then next up, the last on my list that just made my list 2 seasons ago is Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is a bona fide superstar. Again, one of 13 players to ever be a back-to-back MVP in NBA history. Again, one of 15 players to ever win 2 or more MVPs in NBA history. Again, 27, 14, and 8. That's what he averaged this year on 66% true shooting. He is a certified playoff player averaging 31, 13, and 5 over the last 2 playoff runs without Jamal Murray, and this year without Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. He has been to a Western Conference Finals. He beat Kawhi Leonard in a head-to-head matchup in a Game 7. He is 3-1 in Game 7s in his career, averaging 24, 16, and 7 in all 4 of those Game 7 games. Bona fide superstar. You don't win back-to-back MVPs and not become a superstar. So those are my 6 certified superstars in the NBA. The 2 that did not make this list is Luka Doncic and Joel Embiid. Luka absolutely has a case to be a superstar. Some people will already put him there. But again, based on the criteria I've already provided, he's missing one of the last 3 things. Again, he's in his prime. He's a number 1 option on a contending level team. But he has no MVPs, no Finals MVPs, and no championships. And that's my criteria. But let me also say this. There are players that have been superstars that didn't meet the criteria. Michael Jordan didn't win a championship until 1991. He was clearly a superstar before he won a championship. LeBron James didn't win a championship until 2012. He was clearly a superstar. He was won an MVP in 2007. Dwayne Wade never won an MVP, but he won a Finals in 2006 and averaged 35 points a game in that series and was the clear number 1 option. a superstar. Kobe Bryant never won a Finals MVP. I think he finally won one. I can't remember. I think Shaq might have won 3 of them, if I remember correctly. Kobe Bryant, superstar, didn't win MVP until 2000 and I want to say 7, 2008-9. Actually, 2008-9. He won a Finals MVP. He won an MVP. 2009. Yeah, he won an MVP in 2008-9 season. That's right. So yeah, that's a superstar. Kobe Bryant was a superstar from the first championship on. He was 1A, 1B with Shaquille O'Neal. So again, there are exceptions to the rule. Derrick Rose had a year where he was a superstar. Russell Westbrook, he was a superstar in his prime, no longer in his prime. James Harden was a superstar, no longer in his prime. So again, Luka Doncic will easily be there, likely for next year. Likely next year. But the difference is that, again, he made the Western Conference Finals, but I need to see him win some hardware with that. I know some people don't like that, but that's the criteria I have. It is strict. Nikola Jokic wasn't a superstar for me until after the 2020-2021 season. It even took him winning an MVP. And he was a top 10 player for years. He was certified playoff performer, no hardware. First team All-NBA and everything, no hardware. Made a conference finals, no hardware. 2-3-1 overcome playoff series, no hardware. That's what it takes. Joel Embiid, he's close too. Back-to-back, runner-up in the MVP conversation. No hardware. Hasn't been out of the second round, and he's injury-prone. I don't know if Joel Embiid can be a number one option on a finals team because of the injuries and because he's a big. There are ways. Jokic is a playmaker. He is a passer. There are ways you can play Jokic that you can't play Jokic that you can play Embiid. That's just the facts of the matter offensively. Embiid's obviously a better defender, but again, offense, more important than defense. It matters. Playmaking is the most important skill set for me in the NBA. Playmaking and shot creation especially. So I do think that they can both make it. I think Embiid, if he wins MVP next year, he's on this list. Luka, he's on this list, he wins MVP. Either of them win the finals. They're on the list. But that's what it takes for me. It takes that kind of accomplishments. And these are the 6 for me. LeBron, Steph, Durant, Giannis, Kawhi, Jokic. That's it. Kyrie Irving is not a superstar. Damian Lillard is not a superstar. But Damian Lillard is more of a superstar than Kyrie. He is. He's a better player than Kyrie all time. And even if they're fully healthy, I'm taking Damian Lillard right now. Damian Lillard has been a 9 to 10 ranked player in the NBA for years. He's been very, very good. He's been all NBA level good for a very long time. Give me name. Leadership, persona, the clutch, swagger, all of it. Like, give me the player. I want Damian Lillard, but respectfully, not a superstar. Tatum, not a superstar. Butler, not a superstar. Ja, not a superstar. Trey, not a superstar. Paul George, not a superstar. Zion, not a superstar. They're not. No hardware. And again, I don't know if you could be number one option on contending teams or final teams. So, anyway, that's going to do. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the Kevin Durant news. Let me know what you think about the superstar tiers. Do you have a different list? There's something else that you would like to see, y'all. Let me know, y'all. Swipe again. Y'all know what time it is. Subscribe to the channel. We are on our way to 10,000 subscribers. We are almost there. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Share the video, y'all. Hey, y'all. You already know what time it is, man. See y'all soon.